Alright, there we go. Fixed it. I fixed it. Dude, we're not getting a Concord remaster, man. This is so sad. This is so sad
Life
indeed.
is full of surprises. You might walk down the
No
street and find a
Concord
$20
remaster.
bill.
No Concord
You might
2.
walk down the street and get hit by lightning. There is always things that you can never really expect. Except for what I'm about to talk about today. Firewalk Studios, the developer behind Concord, is officially shut down. This also shuts down the
Dude, that's
rumor, that
crazy.
conspiracy that was starting to bubble up about Concord getting a second wind because they were getting Steam updates in the back end. There were daily updates to Concord that you could see in the logs, even though the game had been shut down for a while. So there was speculation from gamers that they might be working on it to try and breathe some new life into it, and maybe it'd be like a Morbius situation where they bring it back only for it to catastrophically fail again. Clearly that wasn't the case. They weren't exactly cooking up the new Manhattan Project behind the scenes for Concord's revival. I still don't know what they were doing on the back end. I think it was probably like when you have a flood and you go in and take pictures of the damage for the sake of insurance. That's probably what they were doing, because this was such a financial disaster, the likes of which humanity has never seen before. So they were probably doing something like taking the code in order to like lock it up in some kind of tomb, never to be touched again, because of how awful it was. I have no clue, but clearly it wasn't for the sake of bringing the game back, because it's never coming back. It is officially dead in the dirt, never to see the light of day again, and now the developer behind it has been shut down. I think everyone knew this day was coming because of how much money Concord lost. A historic flop. Like, this flop doesn't even do it justice. There doesn't exist a word in the human language that can describe just how horribly this game fumbled.
Dude, it's actually crazy how this thing apparently because apparently rumor has it, right? These are all rumors and everything. Apparently it was more than $400 million that Sony lost on that fucking game itself. So it's not really $400 million, it's a little bit more than $400 million.
It is unbelievable. Just like me participating in a Try Not to Come challenge while listening to a Sleep Token song, it failed in a big way. So I'm pretty sure most people knew Firewalk Studios was going to get chopped here.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. Like, there was no way this studio was going to continue. No, Charlie, they were placing the C4 around it so they can detonate that shit to smithereens. Bro, this is this is probably the most biggest thing in the biggest financial loss in gaming history, I think, right? Like, this is pretty massive or so. I don't know what else. Like, probably like one of the I think probably Sega making the console or so. You know, they lost pretty significantly or so, and then they didn't bother continuing in the console race war. I remember that. But like, I don't know if it was massive or so compared to this. More than $400 million was put into Concord. Rumor has it that it was roughly more than $400 million. So.
And now the day has come. But Firewalk wasn't buried alone. In fact, they got company into the great beyond. Another studio Sony announced they're shutting down is Neon Koi, which is a studio I've never heard of. It sounds like a fucking Yu-Gi-Oh card, but apparently it was a mobile game developer that was working on an unannounced AAA live service action game. My guess is the failure of Concord put the fear of God in Sony that they took.
Jesus Christ, they closed down another studio that they were trying to make like a triple. I bet you what they were trying to do or so, right? They were trying to cash in on the pie or so for, you know how Genshin right now is like super popular right now, and then Hawkeye Star Rail, and then you got Zenless Zone Zero, right? And then Withering Waves came into, and then you got these other future gacha games that are coming in. I bet you Sony was trying to make, trying to get a piece of that pie or so to make a high quality, gacha game or so. Basically AAA gacha game,
Look at some other work that was going on with studios under their blanket, and they said, this one might not be up to snuff. This might not be the special sauce, what the doctor ordered, so we're just going to pull the plug. That's what it seems to me. I don't know the studio or their previous work, so who's really to say? All I do know is that They did make a statement on why they shut down Firewalk, and it's pretty much exactly what you
Oh,
expect. Regarding Firewalk, as announced in early September, certain aspects of Concord were exceptional, but others did not land with enough players, and as a result, we took the game offline. Yeah, it's just gobbledygook right there. There's nothing exceptional about Concord. It was as generic as it gets, and somehow it just did the formula worse than everything else in the genre.
yeah, it's like, it's not really anything super special or anything like that, but just kind of like meh, you know, kind of meh. I don't know. It didn't really interest me. Besides, I'm not really into hero shooters at the end of the day. So that already immediately was kind of like, I don't want to play this shit. No, I don't want to play this shit. Because I thought initially this was a single player game. That's what I thought, you know.
And yet they had the gall to charge $40 for it.
That
There
too.
wasn't anything
That too as
exceptional
well.
at any point in that game. If they truly believe that, then they're delusional, and I do think they really believe that because they invested so heavily in Concord. They went hog wild, dumping doubloons into it for no reason. SpongeBob must have snuck into the headquarters with the Orb of Confusion because these people were fucking lost when they made this decision
lost
to go
in the
this crazy
sauce.
with Concord. Sony acquired...
What do you mean their character design is special? Right. I think the only one that's like somewhat passable is the Asian girl. That's about it. Like that's literally the only one that's like subpar. You know, the rest of everyone else is kind of like, they're not really that great, to be honest.
Firewalk in April of 2023 and shut them down in October of 2024. A fucking piece of provolone cheese lasts longer in your refrigerator than Firewalk did under Sony's umbrella.
If I remember correctly, like this is their first and only game that they've ever created, right? That's crazy. That's actually legit crazy. The first game they made is their last game they've ever made.
I don't know what they saw in the first place that made them want to buy this studio. Like, I don't know. I really, truly don't understand what they saw with Concord. I don't know. They must have been living in a different dimension, an alternate timeline that fucking crossed over like Berenstein versus Berenstain and sandwiched it together. Because what they saw with Concord is not what any sane human being on the planet saw. So I don't understand why this ever even happened in the first place. This was the most preventable financial disaster of all time. We have spent considerable time these past few months exploring all our options. After much thought, we have determined the best path forward is to permanently sunset the game and close the studio. I want to thank all of Firewalk for their craftsmanship, creative spirit, and dedication. The PvP first-person shooter genre is a competitive space that's continuously evolving, and unfortunately, we did not hit our targets with this title. We will take the lessons learned from Concord and continue to advance our live service capabilities to deliver future growth in this area.
Yeah, it's called actually make your character designs really fucking good. Jesus Christ, bro. It's not fucking rocket science. God lord, like like even I can tell those fucking character designs are just fucking terrible, you know? What about Duskboard
You bumbling
Remastered?
morons, the lesson you should take from this is to leave the area. No one wants another generic first-person hero shooter. Nobody is asking for that. No one wants more live service hero shooters, period. That's the...
How many are there? It's Valorant, Overwatch. What other hero shooters are there? A lot. I only know Valorant and Overwatch. That's about it. Those are the only two that I know off the top of my head. That's 3. I thought Apex was more of a battle royale than a hero shooter. Paladins? Oh yeah, Paladins, yeah. That's a MOBA. It's not a hero shooter, that's a MOBA. It even has a tag MOBA, so. No, Destiny doesn't count as a hero shooter. I guess you can say there is a few amount. There's like a handful of hero shooters, I guess. Like there's some exceptions, but like at the end of the day, right? Deadlock is more of a MOBA, so it's more MOBA esque than hero shooter compared to Overwatch and whatchamacallit, Valorant. Um, but even then, at the end of the day, right? The problem is with Concord is the character designs were not great. They had the shooter tech. Well, they had it, but not anymore. I assume they took it off. The last time I checked or so about Deadlock or so, they had the MOBA. They had MOBA in it, so because I don't really consider it as a hero shooter. It's more of a MOBA, so. Yeah, so like character designs were not super great with Concord. They charged $40 for you guys to play, a hero shooter compared to the other hero shooters that are free to play. So it's just kind of like already, and plus also the new Marvel game is coming out too as well in December, right? So that was also going to kill. That was also going to be another competition, and it's just going to kill the game even more. So. It is better character design than Mrs. Freeze from the Suicide Squad. You are correct. You are definitely correct. They're not amazing, right? But they are a little bit more better, but not by a whole lot though. What else? I don't know. It just really felt like, oh yeah, another one of the other complaints too. Apparently, it was like super slow or so. Apparently the movement was slow in this game, so that kind of turned off a lot of people automatically. So compared to it being, more high octane
The
style.
lesson. You don't want to try and figure out how to compete in the hero shooter space because it's not a space anyone wants anything in anymore. It's oversaturated, it's dull, bland, lame, people are over it. Instead, put those resources towards something else. Anything else. Christ. Now, according to Bloomberg, this shutdown will affect 210 jobs, which is a lot. And I've said this from the very beginning.
That's crazy.
I don't blame the individual developers at Firewalk for the disaster that was Concord. I think the biggest issue was the leadership that was coming up with terrible ideas in a terrible direction and then putting the developers on the project. Concord should have never even been a project that got greenlit. That's something that should have went into the think tank and got laughed out of the fucking room and shut down with an iron fist, because it's a terrible idea from a conceptual standpoint, from a design standpoint, from everything standpoint. Even from a sitting point, everything in Concord was horrible on paper. It should have never even made it past the brain of whoever unfortunately was cursed with that idea.
The one thing I want to add to specifically on this, apparently at the very beginning, right, of the early development of Concord, well, quotation marks Concord, but because it wasn't even a thing. Concord wasn't even a thing until like way later in its development process. Apparently, like when they showed like a tech demo or something, I don't know what the fuck they showed, but apparently like rumor has it that like it wasn't even a functional game or anything. There were so many issues with it. Then Sony, like, initially, right, they put in $200 million, right, and then they showed like it was kind of like a complete mess. Then they put another $200 million apparently, and then they brought in developers, from Sony's era studio, some of the Sony studios apparently, somewhere around there. So these are all rumors at the end of the day, right? I don't know if they're true or not. They brought them in because the developers of Firewalk Studios couldn't really nail, like, apparently they couldn't really nail the picture of their game or so. So they brought in some people outside of the studio to bring in to help them out to finish the game and everything like that. And this is what we got.
That should have been lobotomized out of there. It is just bad. And it's not like the employees at Firewalk have a say on what projects they get handed to work on. It's their job to do that. So that's what they were tasked with. And I don't think many of them were just going to stand up and say, enough is enough. I will not work on a garbage, generic, bland hero shooter. I'm going to go take my talents to Ubisoft and code some extra beads of sweat on the newest Siege operator's nutsack. You won't see me again. Like, they have a job that is a competitive field, and they were tasked with making fucking Concord, which must have been an awful feeling for a lot of them, I imagine. I just don't personally blame each individual soul that worked on Concord for how boring, bad, bland, shitty the game was. I think
it's definitely the producers, the lead producers, basically like the people who were like in head of charge of these like specific like the lead designer for the character creations, the lead producer, so for the vision of the game itself, it's just everyone at the top basically.
All of its problems start from higher level positions that had all of that influence over the direction, the design, and all of that shit for the game, and then they task their employees with deliverables on it. I imagine a large number of people at Firewalk weren't exactly thrilled to be working on a project as uninspired and generic and bland as Concord. Pretty much anyone who has ever played a game in their life will probably not find anything to enjoy about Concord, because it is just a worse version, like a bootleg version of every hero shooter that's ever come before it, but this time for $40 price tag instead of being free. Now, Firewalk themselves did give a little sign-off message saying, Firewalk began with the idea of bringing the joy of multiplayer to a larger audience. Like, this isn't 2002 anymore. Like, I don't exactly know what they mean by that. Multiplayer games are the most popular games on the planet. Like, take, for example, Fortnite, which has been a cultural phenomenon for so many years now. It's not like multiplayer is this unheard of, obscure thing. I don't know what larger audience they thought they were going to attract with a generic $40 hero shooter. That doesn't make sense to me. That just sounds like PR speak with absolutely nothing behind it. Just a hollow sentence with no real meaning. That's like a statement my grandmother would have made when she was talking about gaming, because she still just believed gaming was only like Pac-Man on an arcade cabinet. Like, I can't just not harp on this sentence. The joy of multiplayer to a larger audience. What in tarnation? It already has like the largest audience on the planet. The only thing more popular than multiplayer gaming is maybe like getting the common cold. Like, there are so few things that have reached this many people. I don't know what this statement is even trying to say. It's ridiculous. Along the way, we assembled an incredible team who were able to navigate growing a new startup into a team during a global pandemic. Firewalk was founded in 2018 and was very small for its first couple of years, only entering full production in 2022. Build a new, customized, next-generation FPS engine in Unreal 4 to 5, delivering top-tier gameplay, feel, beautiful worlds, and a performance 60 FPS technical experience on a stable and scalable backend on PS5 and PC to hundreds of thousands of players in our beta. I like how they threw in our beta, because everyone was about to call fucking baloney on that. That was about to be a Phoenix Wright objection moment right there. I don't know the player count during the beta, but it's not like the game was good then either, so I'm assuming everyone that played the beta, the hundreds of thousands, realized that this was not going to be worth time and money, and which is why it had such a fucking disastrous launch. I also don't know what top-tier gameplay feel they're talking about, because playing Concord felt like nails on a chalkboard because of how mind-numbingly boring and samey it was to every other game in the genre, except slowed down to a fucking crawl. It was a glacial speed. Everything set to like a 0.5 speed. It was miserable in terms of the speed of the game, so it was not a top-tier gameplay feel. Unless you like the feeling of walking around with poop in your shorts, because that's how every character...
Or walking through molasses, actually. That's probably like the best way to describe it.
...controlled. Manage an acquisition, integration while readying technical and preliminary tests, and ultimately ship and deliver a great FPS experience to players, even if it launched much more narrowly than hoped against a heavily consolidated market. We took some risks along the way, marrying aspects of card battlers and fighting games with first-person shooters, and although some of these and other aspects of the IP didn't land as we hoped, the idea of putting new things into the world is critical to pushing the medium forward. The talent at Firewalk and the level of individual craft is truly world-class, and teams with Sony Interactive Entertainment and across the industry will be fortunate to work with them. Please reach out to recruiting at PlayStation for inquiries, and thank you to all the very many teams, partners, and fans who supported us along the way. That last little tidbit right there has the same energy of me standing up in front of my room right now and saying, thank you all for joining me here, everyone, for the Charles as the Optimal Height Club.
Dude, I wouldn't put that on my resume, to be honest, if I worked at Firewalk Studios or so. I'm just saying.
It's just me, like one fucking person. That's the thing with Concord, it just didn't have many fans. Not only did it not have many people that played it, but even of the people that played it, there just weren't many people that liked it.
Yeah.
There were a few people that were desperately trying to convince themselves that they didn't waste money on it, that it wasn't that bad. That was the biggest praise I saw for the game during its 2-week lifespan, is that it wasn't horrible like it was.
At the end of the day, right, it's so baffling to hear that it only lasts like 2 weeks. It's so fucking baffling that this game only lasted for 2 weeks, dude. That's crazy.
Serviceable. If that's the best compliment you can muster, there's clearly an issue. It just was a game that never should have saw the light of day in the first place. It was dead on arrival and doomed for failure out the gate because of a $40 price tag in an oversaturated genre that most people are already yawning at and don't want more of. So, I just wanted to talk about this a little bit because we knew it was coming. It was a matter of time, and now that time is here. No more Concord, no more Firewalk.
No more Concord remaster. There's not even gonna be Concord 2, man. Chat, man, dude, I'm so sad. Chat, I'm so saddened or so.
The rumors of Concord may be coming back. I don't believe will ever happen unless Sony tries to turn it into like a joke or something. I think the last we'll see of Concord is going to be that episode in the upcoming Amazon Prime show, like Secret Levels or whatever it's called, and I think that might even just get pulled because of how embarrassing that would be to see that blemish once again take life in some form. But if it does come out, then I think that will be the final chapter of Concord.
Yeah,
I wanted to talk about this a little bit. That's it. So, yep.
That's crazy. Honestly, dude, like, I'm gonna be honest with you, like, it was just a matter of time that they were going to get shut down because we've been, what is it? This year has been like the year of like shutting down studios now. I think that's been the year or so that like a lot of studios have been like just shutting down in general, you know? It's kind of crazy because like there were some good studios that got shut down, which is kind of, you know, kind of BS in my personal opinion, that got shut down. But what are you gonna do about it at the end of the day, right? But man, dude, that's just crazy to hear. Like, honestly, that's like the most craziest thing to hear, that the studio is shut down. But it was just a matter of time, though. Can you open up your own studio to work on Conquer 2? Yeah. We'll make the characters even 10 times more uglier, you know? Oh my god, dude. Honestly, just crazy. Just actually crazy news, to be honest. That is literally some straight up some crazy ass news. I will have to say that is pretty cool at the end of the day. That is a very interesting very interesting for a way for it to go. What do people say here in the comment sections? Sony, Sony, we were all just busy for those 2 weeks. We're ready to play Conquer. No, please re-release it. It was all concording to plan. I wrote a letter the week after Concord closed down to the Museum of Failure, which is a real thing that exists, asking them if they were planning to on having the game on their museum, and they said yes. That is how much of a flop Concord was. Oh my, wait, there's a Museum of Failure? Damn, dude, I did not even knew about that, actually. a museum of failure, and Concord is going to be in the museum of failure. Where's this at? Hold on. Where is this museum of failure? What the fuck? Wait, where's this? Where's this at? Are the Oh, it goes into different areas. Oh, it goes to different places. Oh, I see. It went to Budapest apparently in 2024, so to be honest, like I said previously, I thought Concord was a single player game, to be honest. I think it would have just done fine if it was a single player game for like $40, you know? I thought initially this was a single player game. So when I heard this was a hero shooter game, I was just immediately like, no, no, thank you. And then also on top of that too, as well, I even talked about it previously too. I don't know if I talked about it in the previous video or whatnot, but like I gave suggestions or so. If I was the lead producer of Concord, right, what would I do, right? I would make it a single player game, right? Number one, I would make it a single player game. Scrap the whole entire hero shooter type of thing, right? And I would design, it would be a 4-player drop in, drop out co-op, and I would design specific levels or so for the specific characters, you know, and your teammates like are in a different route or so going to the objective, but then you're caught, in a tight situation and you can't proceed to the next level because you're stuck in like in an area or so, and your teammate has to help you out to get you out of that specific zone for you to proceed forward to the path to reach the end goal where all four of you guys are reaching the end, it would be a 4-player drop in drop out co-op, like, and that's pretty much it, like I would do like the whole the trash robot guy or so, like I would make like robots or so that would throw EMPs or something at the player. And that one dude with the green skin or so that looks like a lizard or something or whatever, I would make him, whoever controls him or whichever character controls what, would go to the access panel and try to see if they can shut down the robots, and then you have the last, you have to survive basically in that specific room, and whatnot. So that's what I would have done. But yeah, but that's just me anyways. I would have turned this game into a single player game. Easily. Easy cash money, dude. $40 single player game, dude. That shit would be easy. You'd probably make quite a lot of money, especially making it $40 and giving it like almost a AAA budget kind of ask premium kind of was a premium kind of delivery, I guess. I don't fucking know. So that's what I would have done, but who knows? Who knows? That's just me anyways. Damn, dude. That's still honestly crazy. Honestly, I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to see it in the Museum of Failures, apparently. So I'm gonna be very interested to see where this is. What a flop, dude. What a flop of a game. But yeah, that's the end of the video. You guys can comment, like, subscribe, do all that fancy jazzy stuff, and yeah, dude. What a big flop of a Concord failure.